704 Conduit depth. Conduit trench shall be of adequate depth and width to accommodate minimum conduit dimensions with 24 inches of coverage on top of service lateral conduits. Exception: where CPS Energy deems it necessary to route service lateral conduits and conductors in public right-of-way, the depth shall be a minimum of 36 inches to the top of conduits from final grade. 704 Number of conduits. Only one conduit for service lateral conductors will be permitted, and conduit shall contain the 2 ungrounded, phase, conductors and 1 neutral conductor. Exception: additional conduits that may need to be utilized for larger loads or duplexes will require prior approval from CPS Energy. 704 Service conduit routing. Underground service lateral conduits shall be totally outside the building and located to provide the shortest practical distance between the CPS Energy transformer or secondary enclosure and the meter loop. Service lateral conduits will normally be located so they will contact the side of the building that the CPS Energy customer service representative designates. Service laterals will normally run parallel to side property lines. 704 Conduit connection to meter socket. Service lateral conduits typically are connected directly to meter sockets. Customer shall provide a 3-inch PVC male adapter for termination to both 200 and 320 ampere meter sockets. Exception 1. Where an auxiliary wire gutter or junction box is required by CPS Energy for multiple metering designs, refer to Figure 802 and Section 1800. Exception 2. Where instrument transformers are required by CPS Energy to supply larger residential loads, refer to Section 1800. 704 Not permitted under buildings or structures. Underground service lateral conduits shall not be installed under buildings or structures. Customer shall install metering equipment and provide service disconnecting means and overcurrent protection before service entrance conductors enter into buildings or structures, refer to Section 400. 704 Clearance from swimming pools. Swimming or wading pools and any associated auxiliary equipment shall not be placed within a 5-foot radius of service laterals. Measurements from the pool will be taken from its inside edge. Swimming pool contractors are therefore advised to have all utilities located before excavation begins. 704 Clearance from other buried utilities. Clearance of service conduits from other buried utilities shall be 12 inches minimum for commercial service installations, and for residential service installations random lay will be permissible. Depth of trench shall be coordinated with CPS Energy's customer service representative to assure minimum clearances are maintained. 704 CPS Energy inspections. Where customer elects to use their contractor to install the service lateral conduits, the service trench and conduit installation must be inspected by a CPS Energy inspector prior to backfilling the trench. City inspectors or other AHJ inspectors do not perform these inspections. To schedule an inspection, customer may contact the CPS Energy customer service representative or refer to helpful numbers listed on the inside front cover page. 704 Backfill provisions. Materials used to backfill a trench shall be clean and free of sharp objects. Customer shall be responsible for backfilling service lateral conduit trench in accordance with CPS Energy specifications. 705 Service lateral conductors. CPS Energy will furnish, install, and terminate service lateral conductors on the line side of the meter socket. On duplex service installations, CPS Energy will terminate the service lateral conductors in customer-furnished auxiliary wire gutter or in a junction box. Where required, refer to Figure 802. The service lateral size will be based on calculated voltage drop at maximum demand, and maximum service lateral cable pulling tensions. The estimated demand loads and ampecities for meter sockets are outlined in Table 1800-705. Maximum length of service lateral. The maximum service lateral distance shall be 250 feet from CPS Energy transformer or secondary enclosure to the meter loop on customer's residence. Exception 1. where the proposed service lateral is greater than 250 feet, and the transformer or secondary enclosure is located on an adjacent property, an additional transformer or secondary enclosure may be installed on the customer's property, at customer's expense, to minimize the service lateral length. This additional transformer or secondary enclosure shall be installed at the closest property corner to the existing transformer or secondary enclosure. Only one secondary enclosure will be permitted on a property. Exception 2. For proposed service laterals where the distance from the transformer or secondary enclosure to the proposed meter location is greater than 250 feet, the meter and service equipment shall be located at the property line adjacent to the transformer or secondary enclosure. The point of delivery, POD, will be at the service equipment. 706 Service entrance conductors. Service entrance conductors typically are the conductors between the load side of the meter socket to the line side terminals of customer's service equipment. Customer shall furnish and install service entrance conductors including necessary terminals. Exception 1. Where an auxiliary wire gutter or junction box is required by CPS Energy for multiple metering designs, the service entrance conductors shall be the conductors from the CPS Energy service lateral at that location to the line-side terminals of metering equipment, refer to Figure 802 and Section 1800. Exception 2. Where instrument transformers are required, the service entrance conductors shall be the conductors connected to the service lateral on the load side of the instrument transformers to the line-side terminals of customer's service equipment, refer to Section 1800. 706 One size. Service entrance conductors shall have sufficient ampacity to carry the load as determined by the NEC and other applicable codes, but shall not be smaller than number 8 AWG copper or number 6 AWG aluminum. Conductor sizes and quantities shall not exceed those allowed for meter sockets or other CPS Energy metering equipment. 706 2 Identification. Customer shall clearly and permanently identify the grounded, neutral, conductor, S, at all equipment locations and before CPS Energy connects the service lateral, refer to Section 400. 707 Metering. All metering equipment shall be installed on the exterior of buildings or structures in accordance with Section 1800. Customer shall provide CPS Energy an approved space on the building wall or structure for metering equipment. Customer shall furnish and install single-phase, self-contained meter sockets for single-phase 120/240 volt services provided on residences, refer to Figure 1801. Note: service equipment for residential services shall be located at the same location as the metering equipment in accordance with Section 400. See the following figures in the specification manual. Figure 701 Underground Residential Distribution Service, 1 meter. Figure 702 Underground Residential Distribution Service, 2 meters.